If it were magic, what would it look like? That's the question that changed the game for Amazon, leading to one-click shopping, free shipping, and 2-day delivery. But what if we asked you that same question in your business? Tune in, because today we're going to talk about how you can create real magic for your clients. Hey, lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the Miss in biz.
Let's get biz done. I have more Netflix wisdom to share today.
Oh, snap.
I watched the episode or documentary called Buy Now, The Shopping Conspiracy. There is lots of really interesting information in that show, but one line stood out to me that really made an impact. And that was the testimonial or interview of an Amazon executive who was talking about the time when Amazon was just being formulated and created, and that Jeff Bezos asked the team to imagine if it was magic. If it was magic, how would it work? And so they just started brainstorming and coming up with ideas and saying things like, you could buy anything you want with one click. Or there would be free shipping, which was a big impediment in the early stages of online shopping, was how expensive shipping was. So they said it'd be free shipping. And it would show up at your doorstep in 2 days. And so they just started brainstorming these ideas, which at that time was unheard of. It truly probably seemed like an impossibility or magic. I mean, if someone told you 20 years ago that you could buy with one click anything you want, show up at your doorstep for free shipping, would you have thought that that could be a reality?
No, I would have thought they were crazy. We were still shopping at Kmart back in the day.
Right. Driving to Walgreens in the middle of the night trying to get your things, whatever. You know, it revolutionized the e-commerce world so much so that Amazon has just taken the online retail market by storm, and no one can really compete at this point. I spoke to someone recently who was just telling me that companies who try to be in that e-commerce space are just failing left and right, unfortunately, because Amazon is just such a dominant force. But why it stood out to me was because I thought that was a great exercise that we could apply to our own businesses. What if we sat and allowed ourselves to dream about what would it look like if it were magic? What would our businesses look like if it were magic? I think so many times we just limit ourselves to what is expected or what our competitors are doing.
Right.
But let's think beyond that. What if anything was possible? What would that look like? And then once you have those ideas out there on paper, then you can talk about how you could make that a reality.
Yeah, it's a great mindset shift and a great opportunity for you to explore different concepts that you may not even realize are within your reach. So most businesses will ask, how can we improve? How can we make this more efficient? But what if we asked you to make a list of ideas regarding what would make this feel like magic for the customers? And why this is so important is because customers don't compare you to your competitors. They compare you to the best experiences that they've ever had. They're used to Amazon, DoorDash, Netflix, seamless, instant, personalized care. That's what they're used to. So if you can create a feeling of ease, delight, and how did they do that, you can win.
Another example, as we were preparing for this episode and I was trying to think of just how you would apply this to a business, and I thought of a painter. If I needed to hire someone to paint my house, what if it were magic, how would it work? Well, first would be the ease of scheduling, that I could schedule online with a click of a button, schedule a time and a date, and they would show up. I wouldn't have to call around and wait for calls back and wait for them to be available 3 weeks from now or whatever. It would be easy, simple, quick, something I could do on my own.
Right.
That would be step one. Step two would be one day. I would want it done in one day, paint everything from start to finish in one day. I also would want them to move my furniture if they need to. I don't want to be having to move my own furniture. They move my furniture and they put it back. Also, they take the things off the walls. They take the pictures off the walls and they patch any holes that they happen to find along the way. And then I would want the price to be right. So those are some of the things that came to mind for me if I was thinking of what would a magical experience with the painter look like. And as I was laying out those things in my mind, I realized that Wow One Day Painting, which is it does a lot of those things. It's one day painting. They do move your furniture. They do cover the holes. They do a lot of these things. And even when I had them paint at my house one time, they left me in my daughter's room. They're painting my daughter's room. They left her a vase of flowers.
Aww.
And a thank you card when they finished. So when she went into her room, she had this beautifully fresh painted room with flowers and a thank you card.
That is awesome.
So I think they probably spent some time thinking about what that magical experience would look like. Mm-hmm. And that's just another example, in addition to Amazon, of a service-based business and some of the things that you could do to really make a great impression.
Yeah. So how do we create that magic? That first step is going to be to map the messy middle. Look at the processes involved with your business. Determine what part of your process is clunky or confusing. Where do customers lose energy or momentum? And even ask your past clients, what took longer than expected? What stressed you out? What would you like to see done differently?
Sometimes that's a hard thing to do because we don't always want to know the things that they weren't happy with. It takes some tough skin to be able to ask your clients, what did you not like? Mm-hmm. Or what could I have done better?
Right.
But realistically, it's the best learning tool. Your own clients are going to know best what they liked and what they didn't like. And if we want to keep improving, we can't just rely on our own perception of what our clients are experiencing. We have to ask them.
Yeah, and you're right. Sometimes it's not always the easiest conversation to have, but a lot of times they will give you valuable information that maybe you never thought of before or you didn't even realize was happening. Maybe it's something outside of your control, even with your hosting server or something to that degree. You can really get down and figure out where you can make it not only more efficient, but also more user-friendly. So what we wanted you to do is to write this out. If it were magic, my client would ... and fill in the blank with 3 specific desires. So this could be, if it were magic, my client would be willing to pay for a year's worth of services instead of, just next month's shipment. Just different things that are relevant to your industry that you would like your client to do.
So here are some other examples to just help with your brainstorming process. So let's look at Starbucks. Starbucks created magic with the order ahead and your name on the cup. So you can order ahead before you get there. If you've ever seen the Starbucks lines, they're always long. So if you order ahead, you can come in and get your order and take it right away. So that cut down on, I'm sure, the complaints of the wait time. And then they write your name on the cup. So it's personalized. Instead of just calling out number 362, they put your name there. And so it just is that little extra personal touch.
Do you ever like giving them a weird name? Do you ever give them like a nickname or anything?
Not at Starbucks, but I was on a girls' trip one time and we were at a restaurant where you had to give them your name and they would call out the name. And so we had a contest among ourselves of who could have the most outlandish name. And there were some funny ones.
That's
funny.
Awesome.
Think Bart Simpson prank calls, like kind of names that they were calling out. It was really fun. Having a standout speaker resume is so important to booking speaking engagements. If you're looking to increase your speaking engagements, but don't know where to start with your speaker resume and you'd like to see a couple of examples, we would be happy to share ours with you.
Go to missbiz.com/contact and in the subject line type speaker resumes and we'll send you your copy today. So on the examples, we have Disney made waiting in line feel fun with interactive cues. This is something, because I used to take my kids to Disney World when they were young, and those wait times are so incredibly long, especially if you have multiple children under the age of 5. Even 5 minutes can feel like an hour when you have kids that young. But what they did is they added different games, interactive experiences for the kids to stay busy with so that it would make the wait time not feel as long.
Yeah. And so what this is doing in both of those examples is looking at the pain point. What is the pain point that our customers are experiencing? At Disney, it's the wait time, hands down. Same thing at Starbucks, the wait time, how long you got to wait for your coffee. So they figured out those pain points and found ways around it. So Domino's, the magic of Domino's is tracking your pizza in real time. And I will say this, I'm a fan of this big time because you're
Especially
sitting there
when you're hungry.
Yeah, you place an order somewhere and you're sitting there having no idea when this thing is ever going to come. And if I were to be asked years ago what would be magic, it would be that my pizza would come quickly and I would know what was going along, what was happening along the way. And now we have come to expect this because we can track our orders on virtually anything now. But Domino's is the first one who, when it came to ordering your pizza, that tracked where it was in the process and really revolutionized this experience.
Yeah. So you can borrow them from other industries. You can make a list of things that you would want to experience if you were the client or the customer. Or like you can think of, okay, what is your desired outcome to continue to renew services, to continue to come to my theme park? And then what are the potential barriers that could stop people from that desired income? So you definitely want to look at what's working in other industries. what kind of outcome you want to have and what kind of barriers there might be. And one way that you can do that is to cut the clutter, eliminate that friction, eliminate any unnecessary steps. You can also build trust by simplifying the process. You want to make things as simple as possible for people. People have short attention spans and they will zone out, skip out, or find somebody else that does what you do in a heartbeat.
A lot of people like to be able to order or schedule without having to have human interaction. Mm-hmm. Our episode we did not long ago about the attachment styles and the avoidant attachment style, so many people have commented in response to that they are avoidant, that they prefer not to have to pick up the phone and call someone, not to ask someone in a store for help. They want to be able to do it themselves. And so if your process requires that, like a doctor's office, many of them, you got to call and schedule an appointment and go through all the prompts on the voicemail, right, then that's a friction point that you can eliminate. Mm-hmm. Just incorporating into your website a way that people can schedule on their own is going to, and contact you directly, is going to make things easier and increase the likelihood that they're going to actually take that step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think as nice as some of these automated features are when it comes to like the phone system specifically, I'm a big fan of having people on the phone there to answer the call too, because you do have those people that want to talk to somebody, or maybe they're having issues with the website, so they need an alternative method. And I know I almost stopped going to my daughter's pediatrician because I could never get somebody on the phone when I needed to talk to them. And a lot of times it was because my child was sick and I needed to make an appointment, and maybe I didn't have access to my computer, or I just wanted to call them and drive, so making the process as simple as possible is really going to be key and user friendly.
Yeah. So every step you remove from the process is one more step towards obtaining the client and towards their ultimate customer loyalty.
Yeah, so you want to deliver fast and you want to deliver better than expected. One of the things that I always like to tell people is to under-promise and over-deliver. A lot of times if you're over-promising certain things, then they'll get disappointed when those expectations aren't being met.
Or if you do promise something, make sure that you deliver at least what you promised. I mean, think about Amazon. They advertise the Prime 2-day shipping. If you started using that and you weren't getting your products in 2 days, you would lose that trust and stop using them. So, and now we all have had experiences where Amazon is not there in 2 days and all of a sudden it's delayed, sometimes by several days, but we forgive it because most of the time they're there in the 2 days that they promise. And so they've earned our trust and we give them that slack even when they fail on occasion.
Also, they're sending you updates, that the delivery is taking longer than expected. Right. So it's not like it's a surprise element in a negative way, or you don't know what's going on. They communicate very well so that you are always informed every step of the way. We wanted to give some examples on how to make magic in different industries. And the first example that we have are for real estate agents. Some real estate agents do an absolutely phenomenal job. Just some of the different tools and things that they're able to do to really help their client, whether it's a seller or buyer, is truly impressive. Some real estate agents, they might give a moving checklist, a utility setup guide, a coffee gift card for the day that they go under contract, bottles of wine. I know one of the real estate agents that I work with, she gives away boxes and tape. And the tape is really nice because the tape will actually say what room of the home It is. So you don't have to label each box. You don't have to mark each box. You just use that specific packing tape for whatever room that you're packing up.
That is really impressive, and I love that. That hits all the key points of a great business-related gift. As you're talking about realtors, I'm thinking of some of the fantastic experiences I've had as well with realtors, and the last time I made a real estate purchase, the realtor brought me a bunch of documents to sign, which is ordinarily a pretty painful process.
Yes.
You know, it's just tons and tons of paperwork. But she delivered it in a box, and when you opened it, it had all kinds of different candies that had little cute real estate related sayings that went with them, like, you can do this, here's a whatever. And it just had little candies and things in the box with like confetti, and just, she tried to make it as fun as she could, knowing that the process of going through all this paperwork and filling it out was not going to be fun. So that really stood out to me. I still remember it, even though that was years ago. Another thing a realtor told me she did recently that I thought was impressive is when she would do an open house, she puts together this really impressive binder of the whole area. So she'll tell you, obviously, what schools, I think people want to know what schools are in the area, but also how far is the close, what's the best pizza for that neighborhood? What's the closest grocery stores? And just kind of does a canvassing of everything that you would want to know if you were going to move into that neighborhood, and puts it into this nice binder so that when someone comes to look at the home, they can get an idea not just of what the home looks like, but what would life really be like if we lived here.
No, I think that's a wonderful idea. And for different industries, it's going to look like something that's maybe not similar. Maybe you can borrow certain elements, but one of the examples that we have for spa owners are to make that magic happen, personalized skin analysis. And you can have that emailed before the appointment. That way you're not waiting in a room, and your favorite playlist is playing when you walk in the room.
I like
it
that.
almost reminds me of that dentist example that you have. So in one of our episodes, Brooks talks about how you had invited your cousin. They were looking for a dentist to go to, and they just had the most wonderful experience.
Yeah, they lived out of state and had such a great experience with this dentist that they were contemplating making an annual trip to Florida to do their dental work because they had such a great experience. So we did an episode on that because I was thinking everybody needs to know about what this dentist is doing so they can incorporate it into their business because of how impressed my family members were. Having a standout speaker resume is so important to booking speaking engagements. If you're looking to increase your speaking engagements, but don't know where to start with your speaker resume and you'd like to see a couple of examples, we would be happy to share ours with you.
Go to missbiz.com/contact and in the subject line type speaker resumes and we'll send you your copy today.
So you've gone to spas, you've had realtors. Is there anything we haven't talked about already that if you were to just brainstorm, what would it look like if it was magic that you can think of?
That's such a difficult question. I think the whole point is really providing value. Whenever you can provide value to someone, that is worth a lot to them. So I know for us with the podcast, a lot of times we have like our freebies that we give away, whether that's a small business checklist or marketing calendar, some type of roadmap that can really make it simpler for them.
I like that. Another idea of magic you can incorporate if you're a business coach is when they walk away from their first call, they've already got a 90-day roadmap that is designed and sent to them within 12 hours. of that call to put them on the track to success.
And I think some of this stuff could be done with the right system and tools. For the business coach example, that seems kind of complicated because business coaching is very personalized and there's not a necessarily cookie cutter strategy, even though you can adopt certain things into your plan. But there is probably where you can have your core material in there and you can have templates made where certain information can be automatically put in, and then you just know where to add very specific information that pertains to their industry and niche.
Yes, that's a great way to do it in a way that's also efficient.
Mm-hmm. So how would you do this as an attorney?
Well, this is what I think about all the time is how to make that customer experience better. And I've talked about some of the things that we've done in the past, but one of the friction points of a law firm is that everything is remote nowadays. We don't see our clients in person. Rarely. Every now and then I do, but most of my clients I may never see in person. I sometimes see them on Zoom, but often not. It's just phone calls. So trying to have that personal connection is hard. So some of the things we did was create a video of that we send them right away when they are introduced to the firm, that takes them on a walkthrough through the office so that they can see we're actually in an office. We're not working out of our closet anymore. We are in a professional office. This is what the staff looks like. This is where we're located, and just kind of gives them a quick introduction to the firm. We also made a video for when their case settles. That's congratulations. We throw confetti in the air, we blow kazoos, and just say congratulations, your case settled. We have gifts we send them in the beginning. We have gifts we send them in the end. It's just all these things that we look at throughout the course of the case to try to give them a memorable experience. But some other ideas are just pre-filling documents so that all they have to do is review and sign. To the extent you can, some things you need their information, but you can put in their name. You can, once you have their date of birth and their address, you could pre-fill those things so they don't have to retype it every time. That's one of my complaints with the school. I mean, how many times do they need to know my address?
Oh my goodness. Don't even get me started.
How many times does the school need me to rewrite my address?
I know.
They know my dang address. And they don't send me anything anyways. When's the last time the school came to my house?
Never.
They never sent me a piece of mail? Never. What does it matter? They don't need it. It just, at the beginning of the school year, especially when they send home all that paperwork you got to sign up.
I want to get a stamp. Or maybe I'll start putting those address labels in there and just put it in there.
Well, when your kids get old enough, I started to have them do it themselves. So, but I'll tell you, this is a little embarrassing. So I had my daughter fill out the paperwork herself one year. She was probably in 4th or 5th grade. And she filled out the paperwork herself. And then school started, we're a few weeks in, and I get a call that says, Miss Bolts, your free groceries are ready.
What?
And she had signed us up for the special, the families in need who get free groceries. And they're like, your groceries are here for you to pick up. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, you filled out the form that you wanted to get the groceries. And I was like, please give that to someone in need. We don't need that. I'm sorry. I had my daughter fill out the paperwork and she just filled everything out. So, you might want to look it over when they fill it out. I learned that lesson the hard way. But, yeah. I don't even know how I got started talking about that. Oh, making things easier for people. Mm-hmm. The school needs to listen to this episode and only ask you one time for your address and date of birth and all these other things.
I think you should write him a letter.
I'm passionate. I am passionate about this subject. I've wasted so many hours of my life filling. And then you have multiple kids. So you got to rewrite it
Yes.
all over again.
And then your
for
hand
the next
starts
kid.
cramping.
Yes.
I know.
There's got to be a more efficient way.
Yeah. One thing that you can do is look at the how long everything is taking as well. You know, are things prepared quickly? Are responses to clients quick? You know, that's one of the things that I am kind of known for is I'm very quick at responding and getting things done for clients. So that is something that people really appreciate and maybe something that you can adopt into your company culture as well.
Oh, I actually just had another idea because when we were on a break earlier today, my office manager sent me a message that said a client was referred to a bunch of different law firms, but had contacted us as one of the people on the list. And she thinks that they're going to sign because of our hold music. It's the music parody that I did to Meghan Trainor's song, and it says, "If I was you, I would hire me too." And so that's the music that plays when someone calls in. And she said they called back again to listen to it again and sing with it. So
funny.
So that's just another thing that's creative, different, not what you expect when you call a law firm. And some people don't like it, of course, but I get a lot of compliments on it and people who like it. And for this couple, it seemed like they were going to sign. They were really going to sign mostly because of that song.
Well, it makes you stand out. And in my opinion, it's kind of like what Jesse Cole talks about when he mentions creating those you wouldn't believe moments.
Yes.
So that is something that is really important and an opportunity for you to really stand out and differentiate yourself. So in terms of making the magic happen, it's important to remember that magic isn't more hustle. It's clarity, intention, systems, and empathy. You also need a visionary brain, which is the ability to dream it, a systems brain, which is the ability to build it, right? Amazon could have had all of these great ideas, but if they didn't know who to hire or how to do it themselves, then those dreams would have never been made possible. And then also a heart for service. That's where you make it more personal and truly make it about what's best for the client and that client experience.
And with all the AI tools that exist now, making magic happen is more a reality than it's ever been before. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day who told me that you can now use AI to prepare proposed responses to your emails automatically.
Yeah.
So when you get an email, it will read it and give you a proposed response, and then you just read it and hit send. So think how much time that can save on your email responses, which is what so many of us office workers do all day, is just read and respond to emails. So there's just so many possibilities and so much that exists today that we never even thought of. So if you are not coming up with ideas right away, start searching for technology and things that exist in your field that could really improve that customer experience.
Yeah, so here's your challenge this week. Ask yourself, if it were magic, what would it look like? And then send us a DM on our social media page or an email to missbizpod@gmail.com and give us your answer. And what we can do is we can email you back or message you back with an actionable idea for your business. And make sure that if you have any ideas that come to mind, that you tag Miss Biz Podcast and share what your magic move could be on your social media. We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.